First 2 of 3 here in this series, a 4-game set in Cincinnati. When you're in a race for the playoffs, you need help from everybody, even guys that almost nobody expected to get to the big leagues. What does it take to get there? Well, talent, sure. A little bit of luck, that helps. Perseverance, absolutely. In the case of relief pitcher Tim Wood.
I was lucky enough to play with J.J. Hardy of the shortstop Milwaukee Brewers now, but one guy saw me and he saw my athletic ability and decided that I need to go on and play somewhere in this baseball. So he found me at community college, which was in Tucson, and I went to the community college as a pitcher and went from there, learned how to pitch.
But you were a center fielder in high school and had never pitched.
No, I'd never pitched. I got maybe 10 innings in high school and was a center fielder, just an athletic kid who could run down and track fly balls.
In fact, you had a football scholarship to Northern Arizona. Football was going to be your sport.
Yeah, that was going to be my sport. I love it. I mean, Saturday is on right now. It's tough in there. I got all these TVs looking everywhere. But yeah, football is something that I really love and wish I could play it, but blessed enough to play baseball.
What did you play in football?
I played a little bit of everything. Played wide receiver, but my senior year I played running back.
Now, of course, you went into the Marlins minor league system. You're the highest, or lowest draft pick, I should say, ever to make the Marlins. Dave Berg was a 38th round pick, a utility infielder. You had your share of setbacks. You had Tommy John surgery, labrum surgery on your shoulder. Some teams wouldn't have been patient, but the Marlins gave you some more opportunity.
Yeah, they gave me a lot of opportunity, and I got to thank them for that, man. They stuck with me. 05, I was out for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and then in 07, I was out for a full year. So I've been in the system for 6 years and really only played 3 seasons. And they stuck with me and given me opportunity, and I'm very thankful for that.
Even as early as last year, you started the year in Single A, and that was your 3rd year in Single A.
Right.
You know, some guys think, well, is it ever going to happen for me?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that too, but I also thought that they were giving me this opportunity. I got to make the best of it, and I was doing everything I can to get healthy and to get back to pitch like I knew I could pitch, and like that one person that saw me thought that I could pitch like.
Have the surgeries altered your mechanics or the way you pitch at all?
Well, we've definitely changed them since I've gotten to the organization. I used to be more like a Kevin Brown guy, like a turn and tornado type of pitcher, and they got me more straight up and down, and it's helped a lot. My velocity's gone up. I've had better consistency with my off-speed pitches and everything.
Would it be fair to say you beat the odds to be here where you're at right now?
I guess you could say that, yeah, for sure.
You look at every day is special up here.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing. This is where everybody wants to be, and I know why, for sure.
Tim Wood savoring every day in the big leagues, particularly in a chase to the playoffs, the former 44th round draft pick. Coming up next, it's the Reds, it's the Marlins. We'll close it out here in Cincinnati. Game 4, Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton with the lineups and the first pitch. On the way next here on Sun Sports.
And reliability of a Toyota during Toyota's Best for Less sales event. Toyota, moving forward by Aflac. We've got you under our wing, and by Headquartered Toyota, where you'll feel like you bought from the factory. Conveniently located off the Palmetto and 57th Avenue. The rain has stopped. Baseball about to start. And here is the Marlins lineup for this ball game. They'll start it with Chris Coghlan in left field. Coughlin's got 7 hits in the series. Nick Johnson is at first. Hanley Ramirez at short. Jorge Cantu had a homer last night. Dan Uggla's behind him. John Baker catching and hitting 6th. Cody Ross is 7th. Brett Carroll, who is 2 for 4 in this series, had a huge RBI double 2 nights ago, is in right field. And Sean West is on the mound, and the Marlins will be facing this guy, Kip Wells.
Well, he's a 32-year-old journeyman, I guess a good way to put it. He has started 9 times against the Marlins, 4-3 with a 2.53 ERA. He'll throw a little bit of everything: fastballs, cutters, sliders. He has a curveball, has a changeup, and he's just 1-4 in his 31 games and 5 starts. There's the scouting report. He'll throw in the low 90s, cuts and sinks it. He'll double up on his changeup. So he's pitched enough where he kind of has figured things out, how to get big league hitters out. So he goes today. As I said, he's had success, but as you pointed out, it was a while ago, back in 2004, 2003, when he was with Pittsburgh.
Have we seen the same lineup from Dusty Baker at all in these 4 games?
No, not at all. He's getting a chance to see all of his young players play.
Here's his defense.
Let's see the defense, and we'll get it to you so we can tell you about some of those players. Darnell McDonald in this game's in left field. Stubbs and Gomes. That's Drew Stubbs, Johnny Gomes. Scott Rowland, you know him. You know Joey Votto. You know Brandon Phillips. Paul Giannis has been out there. And the catcher, who had a good night the other night, throwing out a couple of runners, Corky Miller.
Freddie Gonzalez last night had to get it done without Leo Nunez, who was not available, and he did a masterful job of it with Sanchez, Meyer, and Lindstrom bringing it home for Nolasco. 2 straight wins for the Fish. The Marlins now at 80-69, and for the Reds, an ominous loss last night, now at 81 losses. There's no way they can have mathematically a winning season at 68-81, second season for Dusty Baker. So Chris Coghlan comes to the plate, still sore. The foot hurts a lot. He banged a ball off it in the 9th inning 2 nights ago. Last night he played through the pain and played well. Coghlan had 2 hits, including a double. And so Coghlan said, yeah, it hurts, but you know what? I've got all winter to rest. And so the Marlins, with 13 games left, need to keep winning. Coghlan's in the lineup. The Fish have won 12 of their last 17, 4 back in the wild card, and are 4-2 on this road trip. Kip Wells to Chris Coghlan, and we're underway in Cincinnati.
No, the bottom line, if something doesn't hurt in September, you haven't been doing it the right way.
Nick Johnson, Hanley Ramirez will follow. Wells, as Tommy pointed out, a veteran. He's 32. From Houston, Texas originally. Baylor University. And way back when, he was a first-round pick of the White Sox. Back in 1998. Jim Joyce saying good morning to everybody. Actually, it's afternoon, but it sure still feels like morning.
Yeah, he said that so loud they heard it all the way to Oktoberfest.
Two-one coming.
Good changeup. And it's a pitch, and you think about it, everybody that Chris Coghlan sees, with the exception of teams that the Marlins have played a time or two, he's seeing for the first time.
No one in baseball has more hits since the All-Star break than Coghlan. Miller sets up outside, and that pitch misses down low.
See if he has the confidence. Kip Wells, I think he does, if he goes with that changeup or comes back with the 2-seamer.
Miller put the fingers out and wiggled. Looks like changeup coming. And it was, and Coghlan hits it well. Right center field. That ball is caught. A diving catch by Stubbs. Wow. Coghlan robbed of a hit by the Reds' rookie center fielder.
Looked like Chris got a little bit on the end of the bat and it started to sink, but Stubbs has really shown some nice range in center field and catches up to this one. Keep in mind, if he doesn't get a glove on it, that's, I guess, an error.
Very nice. That was the Valentine play the other night. That is actually being appealed. The Marlins should hear in 4 or 5 days once it's reviewed by Major League Baseball. I don't know if Coughlin gets the hit delivered by Federal Express or how they deliver the hit to him. But
I think it's FedEx, yeah.
You open it up. There it is, a hit. Johnson's 0 for 9 in this series, but he has swung the bat well. I know that sounds funny, but he sprayed line drives all over this park the last 2 nights.
You know, when you think about it, between Nick Johnson and Hanley Ramirez, they haven't torn things up on this trip. And the Marlins come into this game 4-2 on the trip.
Two and one. See, I feel like I don't even need to say if it's a strike or a ball. Just let Jim do that.
Yeah, he'll let everybody know. I think it's interesting. Any other time of year, early in the year, if you embark on a road trip that takes you to St. Louis and then Cincinnati, 7 games, you'd be happy to go 4-3. But I think with what's at hand now, the Marlins need to go 5-2.
Absolutely. And keep the pressure on Colorado and San Francisco. The Phillies, as Johnson hits a sharp ground ball to second, Phillips on to first. The Phillies lost to Atlanta last night, so the Marlins are 7 back in the East. The Braves are actually 7.5 back. Atlanta's red hot. They've won 8 of 9, and they're right on the Marlins' tail in the wild card as well. The Giants have fallen to 3.5 back, so the Fish are just a half game behind the Giants at 4 back of Colorado. And then you've got the Braves, who are 4.5 back. The Cubs are all but out of it. They're 8 back in the wild card.
Yeah, Atlanta got another nice game from Javier Vazquez, winning his 14th.
So here's Hanley. Hanley sporting a new look with the Sox.
Yeah, Hanley trying to change things up a little bit. 4 for 24 on the trip, but just 1 RBI on this road trip.
Ball and a strike. Well spent last year with Colorado and Kansas City, and pitched in both the major leagues and at the AAA level with both organizations. Hanley has had a brief history against him. Count 1-2. Maximum effort by Wells. You can hear the grunt, and he threw 95 on that fastball.
And what really gets you is if he grunts and throws the changeup.
Hanley on a couple of hops rolling as a Gold Glove third baseman. He picks it and throws it, and the Marlins are done here in the first. Enter Sean West as we go to the bottom of the first in Cincinnati. The Reds have this lineup coming to the plate. Dusty Baker has been able to put a variety of guys in a variety of spots. We've seen Drew Stubbs out in center. He just made that great catch. Paul Janisch at short. Joey Votto at first base. Brandon Phillips hitting cleanup. Scott Rowland's back in the lineup, and he hits lefties very well. Johnny Gomes in right. Darnell McDonald in left. Corky Miller is the catcher. Kip Wells will hit ninth.
Yeah, the constants have kind of been Votto, Phillips, and Rowland. And so Sean West is going to deal to that lineup. First ever appearance against the Cincinnati Reds.
And West obviously will try to duplicate his last time out, where he outdueled Adam Wainwright in St. Louis in a 2-1 win. Tapper out towards short. Hanley to first, just in time. Boy, Stubbs really got down the line well.
Remember how we saw, for a brief time, Ian Desmond?
Yeah.
And just in a short series, you said, this guy has something. I'm starting to think the same thing in Drew Stubbs in watching him play.
Yeah, Desmond of the Washington Nationals. Defensively, this is how the Fish will line up.
All right, you've seen it sometimes this way. There is a change with Brett Carroll getting the start in right field this afternoon. Cantu, Ramirez, Uglett, Johnson, and John Baker behind the plate.
Strike one called to Paul Janisch from West. Janisch in the 2 spot for the Reds. Reds winners in game 1 of the series. And it's 2-1. We saw Drew Sutton out at shortstop in that first game. Outside corner.
That was the one thing that Mark Wiley told me after the game in St. Louis that Sean West did so well. We talked about his slider, which was good.
Cracked into right center. Good jump. Cody diving, and he makes the catch.
But what made the slider good was that he commanded his fastball. In, out, up, and down. Well, there's defense for you, and we've talked about it all year. Good jump by Cody. Zeroes in on it and puts it away. You know, when you dive on grass that's had a little rain on it for a few hours, you're going to have a nice little slide.
Ross's numbers, just 2 errors this year. And certainly someone that should be considered for a Gold Glove. I think one of the things that might hurt Cody, well, there's a couple things. There's a strike. Playing in Florida with the Fish, he doesn't get a lot of national exposure. And being moved from center to right to accommodate Cameron Maybin, not because Maybin's a better center fielder, but because Maybin can't play a corner outfield spot and Ross can.
Yeah, and the perception of those from the outside would be, well, Maybin's a better center fielder, so Ross goes and plays right, and that's not the case. We just have to inform those outsiders.
West misses to Votto. We've seen both center fielders make diving catches in almost the exact same spot.
Hey, Joey Votto has some nice numbers against lefties. He's hitting .305, but he's hitting .318 against left-handed pitching. And if he maintains his .300 batting average, the last time a Cincinnati Reds player hit .300 was in '05. Ken Griffey Jr. and Sean Casey.
One-two again. And he's fighting off good pitch after good pitch. West is 23. Shreveport, Louisiana is home. A sandwich pick back in 2005. Compensation for losing. Carl Pavano. Swing and a miss. He went around. Pavano trying to check his swing and avoid the pitch, and he couldn't hold up, and the bat whips around. Watch this. 1, 2, 3 go the Reds. Cantu against Wells. Both pitchers off to a good start. And Wells misses up. Cantu now with 16 homers, and he's one shy of 90 RBIs. His solo shot in the 5th got the Marlins on the board last night. In a 3-2 game, every run of the game came on a home run. Cantu hit a solo shot. Drew Stubbs a solo shot. That accounted for the 1-1 score. Ryan Hannigan then homered against Nolasco in the 7th to make it 2-1 Reds, and then Glode's pinch hit 2-run homer in the 8th. That was the final 3-2.
You can see that Wells loves to use that changeup a lot. There's Cantu's home run, little breaking ball. He stayed back on it and then just yanked it down the line and kept it fair.
Change up. Jim Joyce got nicked with that.
Ouch. Ouch. I think the next time we hear Jim Joyce, he may be a soprano.
Oh, you're a funny guy. I don't think Jim thinks that's so funny.
Nah, he'll be okay. He's getting a little professional courtesy from everybody. The pitcher, Jorge Cantu, Corky Miller, the catcher. Not getting much sympathy from his partners, though. Bill Miller and Adrian Johnson and Darrell Cousins are all just standing out there. Come on, fellas. Have some sympathy for him.
Deep breath. Just breathe. All right, 2-2. Fastball. Cantu smacks it into the seats. Day baseball in the National League. The Braves and the Phillies, a 1:35 start. So they should be getting going here pretty soon. Giants and Dodgers, a 4:10 Eastern time start. That's a foul ball. The Rockies and Arizona are back at it, and that's a 4:10 start East Coast time as well. Jimenez and Heron in that ball game. So good news for the Fish, and that Dan Heron is starting against Colorado this afternoon.
Yeah, the only problem, Ubaldo Jimenez is 13-11 as well, and Heron has won 14 games. He's trying for number 15.
Hit him. Cantu is aboard. You could see Corky Miller set up high, and Cantu gets brushed by that fastball. You know, I've heard pitchers say sometimes they don't like catchers to do that, to set up that early and that obvious, because either someone on the bench, a base coach, or even a hitter in his peripheral vision will see.
Because I've always thought, and you've talked to pitchers over the years, some pitchers, if they don't have the mitt, they'll use the mask or the top of the head as his target, so they don't need the catcher to raise up like that.
And as well, you hear pitchers say they don't like catchers to stand up like that, because if they end up missing and throwing a strike at the letters, you often won't get that call if the catcher's standing up or a little bit out of his crouch. It's all personal preference. Cantu's at first. Ugla just one hit in this series. He's driven in a couple of runs. Dan was 0 for 4 last night with 3 punch-outs, so it was a long night for Ugla.
You know, he's just 1 for 18 against the Reds this year.
Those are his road trip numbers.
Yeah, it's interesting though. However, 300 career average and 7 home runs against Cincinnati. Not a good year this year though.
And the RBIs that he's had on this road trip have been pretty significant. The 2-run homer against Adam Wainwright, that essentially won the ball game for the Fish and for Sean West. The ground ball that drove in a run when the Marlins rallied for 4 runs on Friday night was big. But Ugla in a little bit of a funk right now.
Tell you one thing, Kip Wells has a lot of movement. Good 2-seamers. That ball's diving all over the place. And he's used, as we've seen and as we pointed out in the scouting report, he has gone back-to-back a couple of times with the changeup.
Ugla hits that ball in the air to right field. Phillips is out. Gomes is in. And Johnny Gomes makes the catch. Sometimes when you write a pitcher's numbers down in your scorebook, there are some numbers that don't quite add up. And for me and Wells, it's his ERA and his batting average against. I mean, here's a guy whose ERA is 5.23. He's made 5 starts, and he's made 26 relief appearances. But opposing hitters are hitting just .219 against him. How does that happen?
Here's how it happens. In 63 innings, he's walked 39, and he struck out 40. So too many walks. So he has men on base, and when they get that occasional hit, they come in to score.
Baker, ground ball short, might be 2. Phillips with the turn in time. Kip Wells rolls a double play to finish off the Fish in the second. To retransmit it in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Florida Marlins or Cesar Geronimo.
Pedro Borbon or Bobby Tolan.
Mikasuki brings you our weather. Come play our way. You see how high the humidity is, the temperature at 67. Forecast is for rain and rain, but the Marlins happy to start this ball game and get it going. And I would think both managers might have a little sense of urgency at the early stages of this ball game, trying to get on the board, playing it a little more aggressively than they would in a game where they felt it was going to go 9 innings.
Yeah, because it is supposed to rain later. At what particular time, we don't know. But there were all kinds of scenarios going around before this one got underway.
One of those was having the Marlins stay in town and play tomorrow against the Reds because both teams have off days. I don't know that I could take another night of Oktoberfest outside the hotel. Phillips aggressive. And it counts 1-1.
A good changeup.
Yeah.
From Sean West. You know, between his 2 stops at Double-A and here, this start for Sean West is his 30th of the season. He had 11 starts in Double-A, going 7-3, and this is his 19th start here.
Looks like some Cole on its way up the Ohio. Brandon Phillips, Scott Rowland, and Johnny Gomes. Phillips, one of the Reds that is signed up for next year. Phillips actually has a couple more years on a pretty good deal for the Reds. Hanley is around that grounder. Fires on over to first in time.
They're locked into a few players, aren't they?
They are. They've got 4 guys who are on the books next year for $46 million. Their closer, Francisco Cordero, at $12 million. One of their starters, Aaron Harang, at $12.5 million. And then Scott Rowland at $11 million and Bronson Arroyo at $11 million. Phillips due to make a little over $6 million next year. And they still have $4 million worth of Willie Taveras in 2010. But the Reds feel that Rowland has added an awful lot to the clubhouse. Certainly a gold glove at third. He's not hit as well as he did in Toronto so far here in Cincinnati.
And you always have to wonder about Scott Rowland with injuries. He's going to play at 35 next year.
You see he was hitting .320. Not a lot of homers in Toronto, but he drove in 43. High fly ball. Coughlin makes the catch.
In watching, I don't know why this just occurred to me, because I've seen Sean West throw a lot. Maybe because we're in Cincinnati, but in watching him throw, a former Cincinnati and with other teams left-hander came to mind. Dennis Rasmussen, big tall lefty. Sean may throw a little bit harder than Rasmussen.
Dennis Rasmussen, a former Padre as well.
A former Yankee.
Johnny Gomes, big swing and a miss. Reds are a little like the Marlins in that they have some hitters in their lineup that are ultra aggressive, and Gomes would qualify as one of those guys.
Yeah, he has the 20 home runs in just 263 at bats, so a terrific ratio.
Hanley sets himself up for that 2-hopper. Fires on over to first, and Sean West has retired all 6 that he has faced in Cincy. Cincinnati, the Marlins facing a veteran, almost a journeyman now, Kip Wells, with the bottom third of their order, Cody Ross, Brett Carroll, and Sean West. Wells, his first 3 years with the White Sox and then 5 years in Pittsburgh, and since then stops in Texas, St. Louis, Colorado, Kansas City, Washington, and now Cincinnati.
Yeah, he had a stretch from 2002 through 2005, three or 4 years he had 30 or more starts.
Cody Ross, a swing and a miss. 1 for 11 and 5 strikeouts in this series. So Cody has cooled down here in Cincinnati. Little roller up third. Roland gets there and makes a nice throw, tag and catch, courtesy of Joey Votto.
And that play was only made because Roland got rid of it so quickly. The bare hand throw took Votto off the bag a little bit, but because Votto got the ball so soon, he was able to get the tag on Cody Ross. That's vintage Scott Roland.
Yes, it is.
And a nice play by Votto.
Here's Brett Carroll, 2 for 4 in this series, with an RBI, a big pinch hit RBI double in the 4-3 win. And Wells goes up with a fastball. It's 1-0. See BC's season numbers.
Kind of interesting in sporadic playing time and then sometimes coming in a game for defense and getting an at bat. He's been able to get a hit, and he has a 5-game hitting streak right now. Six for 13.
It's not easy to do when you're coming in and getting one at bat every other day. Hasn't been able to catch up to the fastball. 1-2. Fastball, ground ball. Giannis. And Kip Wells is feeding his infield with a pretty good diet of ground balls.
Yeah, 6 outs have been recorded on the ground.
Now Sean West. Many fans here in Cincinnati not only enjoying Oktoberfest but also interested in their Bengals, who are in Green Bay. Happy that the Bearcats had a big win on the road at Oregon State.
So what you're saying, they're checking in on Carson Palmer and Ocho Cinco every once in a while.
Yeah, well, Palmer threw a pick, and the Green Bay Packers are up 14-7. There's the 1-1. There's a sporting goods store about 2 blocks from the hotel, and every morning when they open the door, they bring out a life-size Ocho Cinco in full uniform with the real hat, the real helmet, the real shoulder pads, everything. And from a distance, you go up there and it looks like there's a real player standing on the curb. West bounces out. Kip Wells looking good. by Corona, official sponsor of the timeout, and by Honda South Florida. Visit your South Florida Honda dealers online at sfhondadealers.com. Cincinnati, home of Skyline Chili, Grader's Ice Cream, the Montgomery Inn, and the Great American Ballpark.
And notice how that all goes and surrounds food.
That's a good food town.
Ruby's Steakhouse.
Hey. Can't anybody hit? So far, no hits in this ball game from the Marlins or the Reds. Darnell McDonald, Corky Miller, and Kip Wells against Sean West. West has 3 ground balls to Hanley Ramirez, a strikeout, and a line drive that Cody Ross made a diving stop on, and a fly ball to left. So West has been in control. He's been smooth and easy.
Yeah, the ball Giannis hit that Cody Ross robbed him was probably the hardest hit ball. What we've seen, and it's something we talk about a lot with Sean because of his background in playing the drums. And when he gets in a good rhythm.
Hanley got a glove, spins and throws. Wow, that would have been a terrific play had McDonald not had the speed that he has. I don't know if West slowed that up, but Hanley got to the ball and made a incredible turn and throw. No, he didn't touch it, but watch Hanley.
This is incredible, the way he spins, gets a strong throw off. Only the speed of Darnell McDonald allowed him to get the infield base hit. Some of that was that thick central cut grass slowing that ball up, but Hanley Ramirez covered a lot of ground.
So McDonald with a little bit of speed at first base. And you got Corky Miller at the plate. West comes home with a fastball for a strike. Miller, when he got his other start in this series, threw out a couple of base runners. Offensively, he's not had the best of times here in Cincinnati.
Well, they activated Ramon Hernandez, the guy who was penciled in as their regular catcher. They've had 10 games all season that their projected lineup actually started.
Oh, 0-2 still. The Mets and the Nationals are playing. The Marlins and the Mets have a weekend series coming up Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is closing day a week from today. The Riverboat, the River Queen, out there on the Ohio. Mets 1-0 over the Nationals in the third. Atlanta has scored first against Philadelphia. 1-0 in the first. Braves on top. Atlanta's one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. I think they've won 8 of 9.
Seems like they're getting production from a lot of people. Adam LaRoche has contributed. Matt Diaz hit a home run last night. Martin Prado seems to come up with some big base hits.
That's one of the difficult tasks for the Marlins is from this point forward, the teams that they play, they've got 6 games against the Phillies, 3 on the road in Atlanta against the Braves, and of course the weekend series against the Mets. So I think if you took all of the wild card contestants right now through the rest of the year, the Marlins schedule, if not the toughest, is one of the toughest. Corky Miller, a soft fly ball to the right. BC surrounds it and makes the catch.
Well, the Marlins once again will, not that it's a bad thing, will miss Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee's pitching in that ball game in Atlanta against Tommy Hanson.
You know, the Phillies pitching rotation has changed overnight for the Marlins series. It was first announced that Cole Hamels was going to start game 1 against Josh Johnson, but this morning it appears Joe Blanton will make that start against JJ. First game of the doubleheader. Jamie Moyer will start game 2 on Tuesday night against Anibal Sanchez. And Hamels will get game 3, and that's probably a Rick Vandenhurst start.
All right, here's my theory on Moyer starting the second game. The Marlins bats will be a little tired, a little slower, and so they'll be just right to approach Jamie Moyer in game 2.
Last few times the Marlins have seen him, they've had a little more success than
they have, yet his numbers are even better against the Fish at home in Landshark Stadium.
Runner goes, and it's bunted. West picks it up, flips to first in time, and the Reds move the runner up.
You had to be careful because with the speed of McDonald and because he was running on this bunt, Jorge Cantu had come in. Third base was unoccupied. There's nobody at third base. All of a sudden, when Cantu realized West was going to field it, he scampered back to third.
So it's Stubbs, who did not lead off this game with a home run like he did last night. The Reds have been doing that a lot lately. Last 5 games coming into this one, they'd had 3 leadoff homers. Stubbs, of course, and Darnell McDonald. McDonald homered against Anibal Sanchez to open up the series on Thursday night. McDonald at second base here. West's 0-1 coming. Ball and a strike. I'm sure Stubbs had a good morning in the clubhouse after his Longhorns won yesterday. A late timeout call as West had started his delivery. Now the 1-1. Not by much.
Yeah, pretty good pitch. Nice fastball, kept it down.
Here's the 2-1. That's a strike. Two and two. West pitches like his personality. Very calm guy, not real excitable. That one is cracked to left. Hooking. It stays fair. And it stays in the ballpark. And the Reds are on the board first. Drew Stubbs. An RBI double.
Well, Sean's made some good pitches, and for the most part, this is probably one of the few mistakes he's made. Got it up a little bit, not quite in far enough, and a guy who has shown some nice talent, Drew Stubbs, with a line drive double.
He's a guy where I would be surprised if he's not a opening day starter next year for the Reds and a very good player, just in what we've seen in the 4 games. He has the speed, he has a quick bat, has a good approach at the plate. Defensively, looks like he's got that in center field as well.
All of a sudden, Freddie has spotted something too. Once John Baker went out to the mound, Freddie popped out of the dugout. So instead of Mark Wiley going out there, something that Freddie spotted or wants to get across to Sean West.
Misses down low, and he's gone 3-0 to Giannis. Votto is on deck, and as Tommy pointed out, even though he's left-handed, he hits lefties well. Lost him. So Votto struck out in the first, the only strikeout that West has. Gets another look at the Marlins lefty.
And these are those innings that you have to try to put a stop to it and just keep the Reds to that 1 run that they've already got.
Hanley trying to keep Stubbs close at second. Votto hits a high fly ball right center. Carroll is there, and he takes charge and makes the catch. Reds are on the board first here in Cincinnati, a 1-0 lead.
Manager Brandon Hyde, his coaches Reed Cornelius and Theron Todd, as they win the Southern League Championship. They beat Tennessee 7-3 last night, taking the championship series 3-1. In that game, Logan Morrison had 3 hits. Starting pitcher Eli Villanueva went 5 innings, struck out 6, and hit a 3-run homer. Brian Peterson was named the championship series MVP. The outfielder went 8 for 19 in that championship series. As Mike Hill told us in Marlins Live pregame, in the minors, you want to develop players in a winning atmosphere. Our congrats to the Jacksonville Suns, the Southern League champs for 2009. Rich and Tommy?
That's great news.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Congratulations to Brandon Hyde and the job that he did with his staff and with that ball club that's got some talent there. I think we'll see some of that talent.
Here's Chris Coughlin. Coughlin was robbed of a hit back in the first on a diving catch by Drew Stubbs. Kip Wells, the 1-0 coming. His changeup has been his best pitch, and he catches the corner there as the clouds darken around Cincinnati. Rain all morning. The forecasters felt there would be a window enough to get this game in. Chopper over the middle. That's where Giannis is playing. Coughlin is out. Up comes Nick Johnson. Nick is 0 for 1. He's still looking for his first hit in Cincinnati.
8 ground ball outs so far. So that tells you that Kip Wells has good command of that two-seamer and the changeup as well.
All the baseball tradition here in Cincinnati, the success that they've had, new ballpark, that does not ensure a winning season. Nine consecutive years without a winning season. Dusty Baker here trying to change that. In fact, the last winning season was in 2000. Jack McKeon was the manager.
Dusty Baker and Walt Jocketty trying to change that.
Jocketty, the longtime general manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. He and Tony La Russa were a very good match. They both worked with each other in Oakland. Nick fouls it back. Last postseason appearance, you got to go all the way back to 1995 when the Reds lost in the National League Championship Series to Atlanta. Remember, they did get in a one-game wild card playoff in '99. McKeon was the skipper then.
It was against Milwaukee, wasn't it? No, it was against the Mets. Against the Mets.
And they lost that one-game playoff. That does not qualify as getting to the postseason. Johnson continues the trend of ground ball outs. The Duck. Can the Duck make it 4 in a row? Only Red to win back-to-back batting titles.
So let's see. Tony Perez was our go-to guy as far as RBIs, production. You got I'm going to narrow it down and give you 3 choices right off the bat. You've got Joe Morgan. You've got Pete Rose. I might throw in Dave Parker, but I think his were with the Pirates.
Eric Davis. Not a batting title winner. Hanley chops one into center field. That's a base hit. I know that Barry Larkin did not win a batting title because Hanley is approaching a rare company of shortstops.
Isn't he, though?
As he is about to win the batting title. He could become just the 4th National League shortstop to win a batting title and the first since 1960. Dick Groat is the last National League shortstop to win a batting title. The other National League shortstops, Archie Vaughn and Honus Wagner. And Hanley Ramirez is going to be in that group.
They talked about Dick Groat of that world champion Pittsburgh Pirates 1960s team.
Cantu That's a foul ball.
Now, you have had some American League shortstops over the last few years. Michael Young with Texas. Nomar won a couple. A-Rod won one. But when you start talking about National League shortstops, that's pretty incredible.
And Hanley's average would be, let's see, depending on where he ends up. Honus Wagner hit 355 one year.
354 in 1908.
Arky Vaughan hit 385, so never mind on that one. Arky Vaughan did it in 35.
Arky had a big year.
Yes. Yes, he did. Nomar hit 372 back in 2000. There's the lead that Hanley has. I'm not liking what I see above the ballpark right now.
Look, with the clouds?
Yeah. Veda Pinson ever win a batting title? Frank Robinson
won the MVP.
Hanley's running, a swing and a miss. Corky Miller did not throw him out. Corky acted like a pitcher who thought he threw strike 3 to end the inning. He threw it down to second. He started walking to the dugout like, oh yeah, this inning's done.
I'll tell you what, he has made some perfect throws. This is a perfect throw. It's just that Hanley got a good jump and beat it. But right on the money, about ankle high for Brandon Phillips. Look at that. But by the time he got the tag back on him, Hanley had his foot on the bag.
So Hanley's in scoring position for Cantu. Cantu a liner, but it's at Yanish. Kip Wells gives up his first hit. The Marlins strand their first runner, and it's 1-0 in Cincinnati. Doubleheader on Tuesday, and that starts at 4:10. The final game of the series, Game 3, is on Wednesday. That's at 7:10. 1-877 Marlins or visit Marlins.com. Come out and see two games, two huge games on Tuesday. Josh Johnson against Joe Blanton. Anibal Sanchez against Jamie Moyer. Rick Vandenherk and Cole Hamels tentatively scheduled for the third game.
And Rich will have both of the games of the doubleheader on FS Florida.
That's right. Brandon Phillips, Scott Rowland, Johnny Gomes here in the fourth against Sean West. The Reds finally broke through against West. Cantu backing up, has it, fires across in time. Nice play by Jorge. All right, I'm going back into the Vada Pinson, Frank Robinson days.
Okay, I got to stick with my average, all the base hits, the hits leader. I got to stick with my go-to guy with the hits, Pete Rose.
Back-to-back batting titles for the Reds. You were right. But it was back in the...
Yeah, 68, 69.
It was back before they moved into Riverfront Stadium.
Yeah, Crosley Field.
There was a nice piece with Frank Fort on Crosley Field on Marlins Live. Our pregame producer Bobby Grossman doing a nice job. In fact, as I dash back between innings to the break room behind the booth, Bobby Grossman was back there, and Rosie the Red was back there, and Rosie's head was off, and Bobby had it on.
I don't want that visual.
Huh. I screamed in horror. Rowan fouls it off. You guys think I'm making this up? I'm not. (3-2), and he lost him. So Scott Rowland walks. Second walk issued by West. And now up comes Gomes. The Phillies actually have a run off of Tommy Hanson. And he hasn't given up many of them lately. That's a 1-1 ball game in the third in Atlanta.
I think right now, because Jay Happ was injured, had to leave his last start, I think he's fallen out of that rookie talk. I think now it's, for me, Hanson and Coughlin. That's what you're going to look at. I hope not in that order.
Baker picks it out of the dirt. Gomes bounced to short his first time up.
Tommy Hanson going into that game with a 10-3 record.
Coughlin arrived in the big leagues, what was it, May 8th? Hanson arrived in the big leagues late June. Hanson's ERA, by the way, is 2.66. West has lost control here. Walked Rowland on a full count. And now on 4 pitches he loses Gomes. This is not a ballpark, much like Philadelphia, where you want to put people on.
He's got a guy coming up too. It's tough to double up. And Darnell McDonald with his speed, he had an infield base hit back in the 3rd inning.
Tommy Hanson's first start in the big leagues was early June. It was June 7th.
So about a month
difference.
Month difference. He's also got a tough guy to work to in McDonald. He's on a little streak, a 5-game streak. He's 8 for his last 15.
Got 3 hits in this series, and he's a tough guy to double up.
Talked about him the other night, one of the most highly touted running backs in high school outside of Denver, back when he was drafted.
That was back in the 90s.
Drafted in the 1st round by the Orioles in 1997.
They gave him a bunch of money to sign, too. Well, that's not a good sign. West has thrown 7 consecutive balls. He's not missing by much, but he is missing.
I always wondered about a guy like Darnell McDonald, if he ever has thoughts of back to his football days, because baseball, here he is in the big leagues, but it really hasn't been a great career. He hasn't had the type of career that you see some first rounders have. Kind of bounced around.
Three-one coming. He took a big rip at that. He got to the big leagues with Baltimore in 2004.
In 2002, he was their minor league player of the year.
It's been 6 years in the minor leagues. Signed with Tampa as a free agent. Didn't get to the big leagues. Signed by the Nationals as a free agent. Didn't get to the big leagues with them. West strikes him out. So
nice
Sean comes back from the 2-0 count to get him.
A nice comeback. Good pitches. A frustrated Darnell McDonald. Fastball perfectly placed on the outside part of the plate.
That, of course, one of the dramatic differences with the NFL and Major League Baseball is the guys that are taken in the NFL draft. There's a drive to left, hit pretty well. Coughlin goes back, and it's gone. Corky Miller, a 3-run shot.
Well, Corky Miller is not the guy who's supposed to hurt you in a big game.
His first homer is a Red.
As a major leaguer, just his 9th. A journeyman, a guy who came into this game 2 for his last 34. Corky Miller with a 3-run homer. But it's a 3-run homer because 2 men were walked. And that's where the walks hurt.
And that's his first home run this year. He opened the year with the White Sox organization. Didn't homer there. Didn't homer in their AAA affiliate. Didn't homer in Louisville either with the Reds. That smoke you see from the fireworks.
The Reds can't believe it. If Joey Votto goes deep, Brandon Phillips, Johnny Gomes, Scott Rowland, Corky Miller is not supposed to hit a 3-run homer and hurt you in a big game.
No. Kip Wells now has a 4-0 lead, and he's at the plate with 2 outs. And West strikes him out, but the Reds get 3 runs, stretch their lead to 4-0, and it's Corky Miller of all people. 3-run homer has the Reds on top 4-0. Another look at the swing from Miller.
Tried to run that fastball in, and Corky Miller was able to get to it. Pitch it was up a little bit, right in his zone.
Putting a smile on Red fans everywhere. Rosie working hard. Reds on top. Skies above growing darker. And Dan Uggla against Kip Wells. That's the other part of this unlikely combination. You've got Miller hitting a 3-run homer, and you've got Kip Wells throwing a 1-hit shutout. Uggla, Baker, and Ross.
A guy who in his career is 66 and 98. Kip Wells.
Opened the season with Washington, was 0-2 with an ERA of 6.5 in 23 relief appearances. Then went down and pitched at AAA with the Nationals, was released, signed by the Reds in July when they suffered some injuries in their rotation. Spent most of his time in the bullpen and now has emerged as a starter. This is his 6th start. Uggla yanks it foul. It's 1-2. Much more popular than Mr. Red Legs, who we haven't seen much of during this series.
I think they're starting to phase him out.
Just like Mr. Red. Uggla, boy, Roland is really good at third.
Yeah, this just in.
You see how he kind of, had he gone after that ball, it really would have been a tough short hop pick. So he sort of side saddled it and got a little bit more time to read the hop.
And got his body, got the hop, turned, and fired it across.
Six Gold Gloves in that man's career. Be kind of tough to win one this year, having spent half your year in Toronto and the rest of your time here in the National League. When guys change leagues, it's hard to win a Gold Glove. Baker sends one out to center. Stubbs is there.
That'll be an interesting choice this year, the Gold Glove winner at third base. Aramis Ramirez has missed a lot of time.
The guy who's had the best numbers fielding percentage wise, Kevin Kuzminoff.
Kuzminoff from San Diego.
But he doesn't have quite the range of, say, a David Wright or some of the others. It almost seems like Zimmerman has had a better defensive year than Wright. And I don't have the metrics or the measurements in front of me. But Wright has won the last two. There's your fielding percentage. Pedro Feliz, a guy that's always overlooked.
Casey Blake. Yeah, I think the two that might be overlooked are Blake and Feliz and Kuzminoff.
And of course, after the Gold Gloves, we'll have to see who wins the Fielding Bible Award, which is awarded to the best fielder at that position in either league. So Roland could win a Fielding Bible Award.
At this point, is that as prestigious as the Gold Glove?
No, you know what? It's gaining ground.
What's the award look like?
That's a good question. We had John Duhan on our show Remember, we had him on either late April or early May. That's a question we forgot to ask. We know what the Gold Glove looks like.
Yeah.
The Fielding Bible has a group of panelists from Bill James to Rob Nyer. I think John Dewan is on that panel as well. They look at a lot more than just fielding percentage, range factor, zone rating. Tough to get much better than the guy here in Cincinnati at third base in Scott Rowland. Yes, that was Norm from Cheers, and yes, that was the AT&T Rapid Rewind. Sean West, Drew Stubbs runs up to bunt and takes outside. Top of the order for the Reds in the fifth. It's 4-0. The Marlins are getting one hit right now by Kip Wells, and Corky Miller has the big blow in this one, a 3-run homer. And if Sean West doesn't get off to a good start this inning, he might not be long for the inning. The Marlins would love to get him through at least this inning, because he is due up second when the Fish get to the sixth.
Lot difference in the command or lack of for Sean West today than in that game in St. Louis.
Hanley diving stop on his feet, fires to first. Oh, he's safe. Wow. Hanley made a terrific play, and Stubbs apparently beat it. Bill Miller, the first base umpire.
I don't know if I've ever seen a shortstop get up this quickly after the dive. Look how fast he's up, and then the throw. Boy, that is bang, bang. He has made two plays today that have been infield base hits.
Well, I think he got him.
I think he did. That for a fraction of a step, if he gets the runner, their highlight film plays. I mean, that is a tremendous play by Hanley. Unfortunately, Stubbs gets the infield hit.
And Giannis pushes the bunt right side. There's nobody at first. And that just can't happen.
Well, there's a lot of things in this game that shouldn't happen and have happened. Kip Wells shouldn't be sticking it up your you-know-what. Corky Miller shouldn't be hitting a 3-run homer, and this should not be a base hit. Part of it is Nick Johnson's fault. Once he makes a couple of steps and sees that Sean West is going to field that ball, he's got to get back. There's no way that Dan Uggla's going to get over to first base.
So now Votto with runners first and second, and he swings and misses. So a couple of base hits. Giannis is going to get a bunt single.
Having watched Sean West, if I'm an advanced scout, I tell my team bunt all day because he is slow off the mound. He doesn't make plays.
There are the splits that you talked about. Good against lefties, good against righties. Just a solid hitter. Without the supporting cast that he had last year. Giovanni Soto was the Rookie of the Year last year. And Joey Votto finished second. One, two. It's going to be a foul ball, and the count stays at 1-2.
Yeah, if you look at rookies last year, he was first in batting average, second in RBIs, and first in home runs. The only rookie with more RBIs was Giovanni Soto, the Rookie of the Year.
West needs a ground ball or a strikeout, and Votto knew it. He spins out of there. There's one out, and here comes Brandon Phillips.
Yeah, they got him with a slider.
And here comes Freddie.
There's that slider that froze him, and it's his last pitch today.
So the Marlins going to go to the bullpen. Looks like Christian Martinez coming out. 4-0 Reds. Marooney called to the bullpen. Marlins were able to do that on Friday night when they rallied for 4 runs in the 9th inning. Last night, all they had to do was come up with 2 runs in the 8th. But now they're down 4-0, and Christian Martinez needs to keep it that way.
Yeah, he does. And the last time he pitched, Rich, was last Sunday. This is his first outing on this road trip. He pitched in that game that rain shortened game against Washington. Finished an inning.
He gets Brandon Phillips and Scott Rowland. Little chopper into right field, base hit. Charging, it's Carroll. Runner coming home. Carroll's throw to third is a laser beam, and out at third base is Giannis. My goodness.
That's amazing, because Brett Carroll actually, when he first fielded that ball, was thinking about home and almost did a double take, faked to home and went to third. Watch this. He's looking at the plate now. He stutter steps, decides to go to third, and you're right, a laser beam.
It's going to be an RBI single for Phillips, but Giannis is out, and Phillips is at first. It's 5-0. Here's Rowland. And Martinez throws a strike. Ideally, if you bring Christian Martinez in the 5th inning for a struggling Sean West, you want to get at least a couple innings out of him, but ideally is out the window at this point in the season. And that pitcher spot is due up second. Right back at him. Ugla diving stop, and could not get it out of his glove in time. Boy, the Marlins up the middle. Hanley twice, and now Ugla have made great stops. Hanley has come close at first on his 2 throws, and Ugla just couldn't get it out of the glove in time.
If he's able to get it out right there, he might have a chance. By the time he does, even a good throw would not have gotten Phillips. But what a great attempt by Dan Ugla. Hanley and Dan have been covering a lot of ground this inning.
Rowland gets himself an infield single. So Martinez has come in and given up 2 hits, both them ground balls. Here's a guy that usually hits fly balls, Johnny Gomes. It's a 5-0 lead. The Reds on top, and remember, the Reds bullpen very, very good. One ball, one strike.
Yeah, and a couple of their big guys got the night off last night, too.
After the Marlins got to Francisco Cordero 2 nights ago, you would expect that both Massett and Cordero are available tonight. Gomes drives one to center, hits it deep. Ross goes back, got turned around and reaches and makes the catch. 400 feet from home plate, Cody Ross. Wow. Over the shoulder and right in the webbing. Reds on top, 5-0.
and Tommy Hutton. If you saw our Marlins Live pregame show, we had a feature on Crosley Field, which was the Reds' home from 1912 through 1970. From there, they went to Riverfront Stadium. Then in 2003, here to Great American Ballpark. And reflecting the river nature of this city, the Ohio River behind me, up here in the center field area, they have the Pilot House, a restaurant and bar. And just to my left, the smokestacks with the paddle wheels and the Reds insignia. Of course, when the Reds hit a home run, which unfortunately we've heard today, the smokestacks go off. This ballpark built for about $280 million, capacity a couple hundred over 42,000. And guys, what you can't see, just below me, there's a guy with a laptop computer sitting at the base of the smokestacks, and he's the guy that sets off the fireworks when the Reds hit the home run. As our ballpark goes up, we just wanted to give you a little flavor of some of the other ballparks around the National League. Rich and Tommy?
So where now he's got a laptop that shoots off the fireworks?
Well, that's the mechanism. He triggers the mechanism with his laptop.
Well, what if that thing crashes?
No fireworks.
Or like if he's surfing the web and
all of a sudden somebody yells to him, "Hey,
fire in the hole!"
Hey, we had a home run.
There he is. See, look,
light it up.
He's not watching the game.
He's checking the NFL scoreboard.
He's watching the Bengals on the NFL package.
But you see a chopper rolling. Oh, Scott Rowland has put on a clinic at third base, hasn't he? Aggressive, steady, good glove, accurate arm, athletic.
He's got it all.
He moves much better than you would think for a big guy and a guy that's got a lot of mileage on those tires. Sanchez is going to hit for Martinez.
Now, that body has a lot of mileage. He's played hard over his career, had various injuries.
Yes, he has. So the Marlins have yet to solve Kip Wells. And that line drive is going to find Phillips.
Even a few of the balls that have been hit well, that one hit hard. There was a line drive earlier in the game. Jorge Cantu lined out to short. But 12 ground ball outs that Kip Wells has induced.
The hopper is up. And Coghlan stands in. Coghlan laces one down the left field line. That's a fair ball. Into the corner it goes. Cogs around first, headed to second with his 25th double of the season, his 8th hit of this series.
Eight for 16 in this series, a 5-game hitting streak now. 11th hit on this road trip. We've seen that stroke so often. Stays back, keeps it on the line with that base hit the other way, and it's our checkers double of the game.
Did you see how muddy that ball was when McDonald picked it up off the warning track? He kind of threw it in, and it was half covered in mud. Johnson's 0 for 2. He's bounced out twice. Here's one of those spots where Nick, if he gets ahead in the count, he's going to look at that one pitch to try to drive it. Because with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position, Marlins need to start making up some ground. 1-1. Phillies a couple runs in the 4th, a 3-1 lead over Atlanta in the 5th.
Also, the way Wells has that two-seamer working and is keeping the ball down so well, you can't think home run against him.
Wow. It's a pretty good pitch. 2-1. He does drive it right center field. Stubbs is there, and he runs it down. And the Marlins still haven't scored against the veteran Kip Wells. Of the 6th inning, our Geico quote of the day from Ricky Nolasco: sure, we scoreboard watch, but the only thing we can control is our game. We don't care how we get in, whether it's in the wild card or the division. We just want in. And unfortunately, Super Scoreboard Gigante shows that the Phillies are beating Atlanta 3-1. Giants and Dodgers a little later on. That's a Lincecum start. Arizona and Colorado, Dan Herron on the mound, and that's good news for the Fish. He's pitching for Arizona. Cardinals are all but in as the champion in the Central. The Cubs are just about eliminated. And, of course, we told you earlier today, congratulations to the Jacksonville Suns in winning the Southern League Championship. That's great stuff. Here's Tim Wood.
And Tim Wood has had great stuff.
That one got by Wood, but Uggla was right behind him. And he throws out McDonald.
Nice interview that Frank Fort did with Tim Wood on Marlins Live, and his opportunity to get to the big leagues. A guy who, he said to Frank, he only pitched 10 innings in high school. He was just a good athlete.
J.J. Hardy was his high school teammate, and the scouts came to watch Hardy, saw him, and he was going to go to Northern Arizona to play football. Northern Arizona in the Big Sky Conference. But here he is in the big leagues. It's interesting. Frank asked him, oh, wait a minute, it's Corky Miller. This guy's been nothing but trouble for the Fish. Throwing out runners, hitting homers, lining balls in the left center. The Marlins cannot stop Corky Miller. All right, back to the story on Tim Wood. He said he used to be a Kevin Brown type delivery, a guy that really almost screwed himself into the ground.
Yeah, corkscrew delivery.
Yep. And that's one of the adjustments the Marlins made with him in the minor leagues, was got him out of that delivery, a little more upright. He gained a little more pop on his fastball. Let's see if Wells is bunting. The Marlins botched a bunt coverage in the 5th. Reds got a run in that 5th. They got 3 in the 4th on the Miller 3-run homer. It's a fair ball. Baker's going to get the out there. Hanley's turn is not in time. Kip Wells runs pretty well.
Yeah, Wells does. Corky Miller doesn't. That's one of the things you know and you keep in mind when you're an infielder or a catcher. John Baker knew he had time to get Corky Miller, but a lot of pitchers you're going to double up there. But a good throw by Bake.
Now Stubbs.
Now the other thing about a Tim Wood is that being a 44th round draft pick, you have to prove yourself all the time. So you just can't slide by and keep getting chance after chance after chance because you were a high draft pick.
Two and 0.
Rich and Tommy, the other thing about it is you mentioned patience, and the Marlins were with Tim because he went through 2 major surgeries. He had Tommy John and labrum surgery in his minor league days. So, again, as you mentioned, for a guy who was a 44th round pick to stay that patient, in fact, as early as recently as last year, he started the season in A-ball. So his rise to the major leagues has been pretty remarkable.
He could run the Wildcat too, Frank. He said, he played a little running back, wide receiver.
Yeah. And Northern Arizona is a pretty good program.
They are. They're a very good program. That's what used to be called Division I AA in the Big Sky Conference. Northern Arizona is in Flagstaff, one of the more picturesque spots in Arizona. That's the training camp spot of the Cardinals.
Yeah, good job.
Down goes Stubbs. Tim Wood, a scoreless 6th. Marlins need to get busy. Down 5-0. Marlins at 7:10. Following that, a fireworks spectacular post-game concert with Sean Paul. Fans get a Marlins t-shirt courtesy of Doctors Hospital. 1-877 Marlins, the number to call. The rain has returned to Cincinnati. Marlin bats have yet to arrive. Just 2 hits against Kip Wells.
The patriotic umbrella. Got her Bengals jersey on.
Bengals, of course, with a relatively new stadium. The 2 stadiums built on either side of the old Riverfront Stadium. Paul Brown Stadium, home of the Bengals.
Kind of like the setup in Pittsburgh with the baseball park and the football stadium. So out with the old, the multi-purpose stadiums, the AstroTurf, in with the new.
I have not been in either of the football stadiums. I wonder how they compare. Which one's better, in Heinz Field or Paul Brown Stadium?
I've been up near Heinz Field. A lot of times go over there for a walk, and you head up there, go up the steps. It looks beautiful.
I think PNC Park in Pittsburgh has an advantage in that it looks out into downtown and you have a better view of the river. It's a little more picturesque. You got the bridges, the Clemente Bridge coming across. Well, Hanley Ramirez goes down swinging, and that's kind of the way things have gone for the Fish.
You don't believe it or not, that's the first strikeout for Wells. He has all the ground ball outs, 12. He has walked just one, hit a batter, and one strikeout.
Cantu takes a pretty good breaking ball for ball one.
By the way, he has not walked a batter.
Hit by a pitch.
See what happens when I put the hit batter in the walk column.
Well, you put Cantu in the wrong spot. He was grazed. He really wasn't hit. Cantu jumps on that ball, hits it to left field, hits it deep. McDonald to the track, makes the catch. Here is Ugla. You know, we've been talking in the first 3 games of this series how you want to do your damage against the starters because you don't want to see the bullpen. I'm mulling that over again because the way Wells is pitching, the Marlins have had more success against the bullpen of the Reds lately than they have against some of the starters.
Well, and we talked about it at the very onset of the game. The fact that Wells, even though a lot of the hitters in the Marlins lineup haven't seen him, but in his days with Pittsburgh, 9 games, a 4-3 record, but a .253 career ERA against the Marlins. Good changeup.
One and one. Ugla goes after a fastball and fouls it back. I'm impressed with his velocity. And Wells has touched 95 on the gun.
Yeah, that's a little harder than I remember. I always thought more low 90s with it. The Marlins also have a few hitters that have cooled off. Nick Johnson has cooled off. Hanley hasn't had a great road trip, productive road trip.
Ugla, Cantu.
Yeah. Cody Ross.
Ugla gets rung up. 1, 2, 3 go the Fish in the 7th. The Golf with Tommy Hutton auction package is available online. Marlins.com/auction is the place to go to place a bid. A threesome, and Tommy will go out and play at the Parkland Golf Club. And you'll also have lunch out there, a spa treatment, and 5 separate foursomes at 5 of the nicest golf courses in South Florida. And you'll get a spot in the 2010 Marlins Celebrity Golf Classic. Marlins.com/auction. And the item is available until September 28th. 7th inning stretch. Family Sunday is coming up. That's closing day. 10,000 fans will get the 2010 magnetic calendar. The Marlins calendar for 2010 give you all the games when the Marlins are on the road or at home, who they're playing. The postseason party will be there as well. In the strike zone, 1-877-MARLINS, the number to call. Marlins and Mets on that day. Today in Cincinnati, it's been dreary. And that's kind of the way the Marlins have played after 2 thrilling wins here on Friday and Saturday night. The Marlins have been shut down by Kip Wells and bopped by Corky Miller. They're the culprits. And the rain starts to fall a little harder with Wood on the mound and Giannis at the plate.
I think unless it gets really, really bad, Jim Joyce, Darryl Cousins, crew chief, they're going to do everything to get this one in without a delay.
Hey, we were told there's going to be a window, but that window is going to close.
Yeah, well, they said from 1 to 5. It's a short window because it's 3 and it's raining.
That ball is smoked. That ball may get out. Nope, off the wall. Giannis, a double. Two hits for Giannis. Boy, the heroes in this ballgame: Corky Miller, Giannis with 2 hits, Drew Stubbs with 2 hits.
They like the consistency of Paul Giannis and his defense. They hope he can pick things up a little bit offensively and be their everyday shortstop. And if you get Roland producing and Votto and Phillips, you can not necessarily have to have all that offense at short.
I think the Reds are really hoping that Jay Bruce snaps back to form after an injury-filled season. One of their top prospects who came up last year. Left field, that's deep. Coughlin back, that's out of here. Votto. And the Reds bust it wide open.
Now the computer guy pushed the right button. Joey Votto showing his opposite field pop. 22nd home run. And we told you that this guy, maybe with a different surrounding in the lineup, would even have bigger numbers. But a solid hitter.
Brandon Phillips. One and 0.
The Reds have out-homered the Marlins in this series, 5-2.
That noise you hear, of course, the raindrops hitting many of our microphones that are in and around the Great American Ballpark. And you're right, the rain is picking up in intensity, and if it's this intense in another 5 or 10 minutes, they're going to have to stop the game. Because the infield, there are spots on the infield that are starting to get a little dicey. Fly ball right field. Carroll track, and he went too deep. It fell in front of him. He'll pick it up. Phillips is on his way to third, and he's got himself a triple.
Well, generally, and I think that's probably the first one we've seen this year, a ball misplayed by Brett Carroll. Generally, he is right there. The wind got him. The rain got him. He went to the spot where he thought the ball was going to be, and the wind and rain brought it back a little further, and he couldn't regroup on that wet track and make the catch. And in the meantime, Phillips got himself a triple. Or that could be an error charged to Brett Carroll.
There's a strike. They gave him a triple.
How about that?
How about that?
Funny thing, huh?
There's a chopper. And throw to first. Phillips is coming home. Johnson's throw. And he's in there.
Well, his hustle gets Scott rolling the RBI. That's knowing your infielders. He knows that Nick Johnson just has an average arm. It'll take a while for him to throw. There's the average throw, and he beats it.
And since Cantu was that far off the bag, Phillips was able to get a great jump. Roland takes a strike. You don't think the scorekeeper will go down and ask Brett Carroll if he thinks he should have made that play?
No, don't get me started. The guy's right next to us, too.
I know.
Says, we moved over, Booth. We got closer to him.
That obvious. A reference to earlier in the series on the Chris Coughlin ball. So it's 2-2, and it's 8-0. Reds on top. And unless the Marlins have a huge comeback, they're going to have to settle for a series split here in Cincinnati.
I understand the Braves and Phillies have just gone in a rain delay, too. But I don't say two because we're not in one here, but it's raining hard.
Phillies up 4-1 in the fifth. That's out. Johnny Gomes aboard. Mark Wiley on his way out to talk to Tim Wood. Tuesday doubleheader, the Phillies coming in. 4:10 start for the first game. Second game will start approximately 30 minutes after the first game, and one ticket gets you both games.
You know, the Phillies, the only team the Marlins are under 500 against in the National League East. Marlins are 35-25 against the East, 8-7 against Atlanta, 10-5 against the Mets, 12-6 against the Nats, but 5-7 against Philadelphia.
There's Darnell McDonald.
Boy, a lot of first pitch swinging by the Reds in this inning.
Yeah, I was wondering how you knew about the rain delay until I looked out on the wall in left field and saw the Phillies Atlanta score. They actually have a symbol out there for rain delay.
I actually got that from my Philly Insider, which reports in every once in a while.
Look at that. Look
but
how,
now I see that. That's great.
That's cool. You have a Philly Insider?
Yeah. I have a crack staff that works every once in a while on Philadelphia information. I can give you an Eagles score if you want.
No.
That's okay.
Wood strikes out McDonald. And that's the second out of the bottom of the seventh. And here he is. The dreaded Corky Miller. 3-run homer and a single.
Yeah, the amazing thing, he came into this game, he was just 5 for 40. He was 2 for his last 33, and he has 2 hits today. One of those a 3-run homer.
His first home run of the year in any uniform. He may not have hit a spring training home run. Nick Johnson makes the catch, and the inning is over. 3 more added on. Reds 8-0. Major League Baseball and the Players Association continue their dedication of giving back to the community through the MLB and Players Give Back campaign as a way of recognizing and thanking all those fans who serve our country and the communities in which we live. All right? Marlins are joining the effort and will be providing up to 4 complimentary tickets to military veterans, teachers, police, fire, paramedics, emergency management, and members of the Boys and Girls Club from South Florida, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and Monroe counties. For more information, log on to marlins.com and look for the MLB Players Give Back campaign. Marlins wish they could take back the first 7 innings of this ball game.
Have a do-over. Kip Wells is trying to do something. Kip Wells, by the way, has 3 career complete games. His last complete game was 2005.
Well, 83 pitches. Baker, Ross, and Carroll. Baker smacks one into right field. That's a base hit. So a leadoff single here in the 8th. And up comes Cody.
Looking back at that 05 season for Kip Wells with Pittsburgh, had the 1 complete game, had 33 starts, but had the worst run support in the league, and he was 8-18.
ERA of?
ERA was a little over 5.
There's got to be some sort of perks that you can give a starting pitcher that gets terrible run support. Better room in the hotel, maybe upgrade.
Occasional suite, at least on the what's the level, the executive level, where you get the buffet breakfast anyway, at least on that level, concierge level. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Better locker on the road. Ground ball, base hit left field. Cody Ross with a base hit. Maybe let him pick the movie on the team flights. Here's BC. Well, a long way to go and only 6 outs to get there for the Fish. Carroll is 0 for 2.
Brett Carroll has seen a steady diet of fastballs from Kip Wells today.
Change up in. 2-0. Hey, there's Mike Owens. We've been waiting to see either Owens as a reliever or a pinch hitter.
Yeah, they have him listed in both spots. Dusty Baker has him listed on the lineup sheet in the bullpen and also as a pinch hitter.
It's a lot easier to use that guy as a pinch hitter when he's in the starting rotation, because in a ball game, 7th or 8th inning, where you're never sure where the game's going to go, if you burn him as a pinch hitter, you lose him as a reliever. Whereas if he's a starter, you're not going to use him.
He's been used 16 times. He's 4 for 16 with a pinch hit home run this year. And career, look at that, 296 hitter with 8 career home runs.
I wonder if he can play first base. Letter high fastball. 2-1.
I'm sure Brett Carroll's still steaming about that ball that he misplayed in right field.
He's probably going to get a fastball here, 2-1. And he does and fouls it off. Now it's 2-2. Baker opened the inning with a single. Ross followed with a base hit to left. And BC drives one in the cap, left center field. That's going to score a run. Baker around third. He's coming home. Ross gets to third. And the Marlins have put together 3 consecutive singles.
Well, all of a sudden now BC extends that hitting streak 6 games with the base hit. Got himself ready for that fastball.
Ross Glode is coming up. And let's see what Dusty Baker does. Does he go get Micah Owings? Looks like it. Here comes Dusty. And so Baker is on his way out to the mound. Kip Wells will exit with an 8-1 lead. Here's our Marooney. Call to the bullpen.
Off the bench. I mean, if they would have brought the lefty in, who knows what would have happened. You know, the West would have came in or whatever. But we just go by the game. We know when the pitcher's coming up. We know when to be ready. And Freddie yells at us to get on deck, and we go get him.
Glode drives it to right, hits it well. Back goes Bruce. Goal! 2-run shot. Pinch hit homer. Ross Glode, and the Marlins jump on top.
That was Ross Glode last night, coming up in a pinch. 15 pinch hit RBIs. That's a new Marlins record. 19 pinch hits. That ties Lenny Harris for the Marlins record. He's not going to face Micah Owings. It's Daniel Ray Herrera who comes out of the pen. The little lefty, 5'6", out of Odessa, Texas, out of Permian High School, the high school that was made famous in the Friday Night Lights book.
Little slider, little fastball. His out pitch, though, is a screwball, which is more effective to right-handed hitters.
45th round pick by the Texas Rangers. He came up in the Volquez Hamilton trade. And he misses outside. I mean, he's a guy, obviously, when he walks in, you look at him and you say, what's the bat boy doing out on the mound?
Well, he's on to face the 3 lefties.
Glode with a little tapper. Herrera off the mound, throws to the plate. Cody's in a rundown. And he'll get tagged out. Hustling to third is Brett Carroll. is going to be a fielder's choice. I think Glode gets an RBI on that. No, excuse me. That's my bad.
Yeah.
Ross was out at the plate.
Now, Herrera had that play in front of him. He probably thought that was an easier out, which it turned out to be 1-2-5-3 on the putout, than going over and getting the out at first base.
Yeah, I was sitting on that RBI record as a pinch hitter. And so Glode gets merely a fielder's choice. And Herrera stays in now with Coghlan and Johnson and Hanley. The Marlins have a run, but that's it. And that hits Coghlan. So the bags are loaded for Nick Johnson. Was that the screwball?
Might have been. Which shows us that he will throw it to left-handed hitters. Let's see if we can tell. I don't know. Hard to tell, or it might have been a slider. Just got away from him.
Herrera is a guy like Tim Wood who has pitched well all the way up the ladder in the Rangers organization. Good ERA. Almost his entire career out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I think that last pitch was the screwball because his slider's a little bit harder.
It's inside. It's 2-0. Johnson yanks that one foul. Bases filled with Marlins. That is Carroll, Ross Glode, and Coghlan. Marlins have just 5 hits to go with their run. Reds 8 runs, 11 hits. So if one's a fastball, 2's a curve, 3's a change, what's the screwball?
Probably the change.
And that looked like a screwball.
That's what it was. So it's such a good pitch for him that he uses it to lefties and righties.
His career minor league numbers, 2.64 ERA.
But again, a guy, because he was such a low draft pick, he had to have good numbers.
Yeah.
And because he's 5'6". Screwball again.
Comes in at 67 miles an hour. Breaking ball, that one is smoked. Phillips on his back. And the Reds turn an acrobatic double play. Phillips and Giannis get Nick Johnson. And Daniel Ray Herrera escapes the 8th. together the whole series.
And they're back talking now. They were on the outs there for a while.
8-1 ball game. Andrew Miller out of the bullpen for the Fish. And you can see his numbers.
Right now, just trying to get some work and get a little consistency to hopefully carry over to next year.
Adam Rosales is going to hit for the Reds. Rosales, then Drew Stubbs and Paul Janisch.
Reds minor league hitter of the year a couple of years ago.
Goes after Miller's first pitch.
Out of Western Michigan University.
You mentioned spring training. Andrew Miller next year, going into the spring, it'll be, and I know there's a dozen games left in this season. I don't know that Miller is going to get a chance to pitch any meaningful innings from this point to the end of the season. So here's a young man that next year needs to come out in spring training and pitch well to make the rotation.
I don't think he can come to spring training and have inconsistency and make the ball club. He's going to get an opportunity, there's no question, to be in that rotation.
Rosales goes around, and he is thrown out by Baker. Up comes Drew Stubbs.
And Andrew Miller certainly has the ability. There's no question about that.
Still reigning in Atlanta, 4-1 Phillies. That ball game in the 5th. No homers in the game.
He has that ability, if you watch, with the easy delivery, 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
He's out front 0-2. Drew Stubbs has doubled, has singled, driven in a run.
But the inability to throw anything other than the fastball for a strike is where Andrew needs to incorporate consistency.
He's got a good live fastball. There's no question about that.
And with him, it's that term you hear a lot, repeat the delivery. Repeating the delivery gives you consistency.
Little tapper, Bake out in front of the plate, throws him out. Good play by John Baker. 2 outs. And shortstop Paul Janisch is coming up. Probably the most interesting game of the day in the American League is in the Metrodome, where Detroit and Minnesota are squaring off. 3-2 Tigers in the 5th inning. Low throw picked by Johnson. Andrew Miller. A 1-2-3-8. Marlins go to the 9th. They need 7 to stay longer in Cincinnati. Aside from the rain, which has been a trend all day. With the Marlins' next road win, they will tie the club record for road wins in a season. So all they need is one more road win. Obviously, they're going to get 6 more opportunities, 3 in Atlanta, and then 3 in Philadelphia to finish off the year. Marlins at 80-69 right now.
Well, that pizza's looking pretty good, too.
Here is Owings. One of those Georgia kids who has had success. First got to the big leagues with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, he was a 3rd-round pick of the Diamondbacks. Came over to Cincinnati in that deal that sent Adam Dunn to Arizona.
Hanley fouls that fastball back. Owings out of Gainesville, Georgia. Went on to play at Georgia Tech. And of course, part of that East Cobb youth baseball program coming up with guys like Hermida,
Matt McCaps,
McCann, and Francoeur. One, two. Hanley lost the bat and the battle, and he strikes out. Time for the stay of the game hold of the day, as in holding on to the bat or getting a hold on the mound. All-time Ohio natives. Look at Paul Shuey, Scott Sauerbeck. I didn't know that Tecovi was a Cincinnati native. Rick White. Rick White had the good goatee going. Cantu up. Little tapper. Owings off the mound. 2 outs. Here comes Uggla. Now this has been a day of all Reds. Kip Wells, it sounds funny to say this, was dominant because he was just ground ball after ground ball after ground ball. Gave up 1 hit through 5 2/3 innings. Uggla puts that one in the air, right center field. This should do it. Phillips is out, and he makes the catch, and Stubbs. Phillips gives him a present, and the ball game is over. A tough one for the Fish. They will leave Cincinnati splitting a 4-game series, and they'll come home off this